What up?
Yo, what's up, Dylan?
Nothing, man. Just
What's up?
prepping for the week.
Nice. What quest are you on, man?
Just got onto 4. I finished 3 this weekend after pulling my hair out all week trying to optimize it.
Nice.
Wasn't fun. And then I had a moment where I went, oh, and then it was not hard.
Nice.
Hey, afternoon. Good to see you guys. Anyway, I thought I'll just talk by briefly at the beginning. You guys don't have to stop talking. So you can, yeah. So I'm happy to answer any questions for the first few minutes, obviously. And also, since I see that, Oliver and Adam and maybe a couple more people getting close and all. So I thought I could also talk a little bit about the extra credit project that I posted about. And if you're done with the quests and dog all of it, whenever you're ready, actually. But actually, if you've popped all of it and you're still working on it to dog it, that's fine. You can still do the extra credit, I think. But I think it will be a fun project. So here's the way I'm thinking about it. I posted an announcement. Hey, who's that? Oh, people are still joining. Let's wait for a few minutes, okay? Let's give other people a chance to join in, and then we can talk about the project. Until then, feel free to have a conversation. And in fact, why don't I just stop talking now, so it doesn't look like I'm interrupting you and all. So talk, and I think I can talk about the extra credit project. Or if you guys have any questions for me, I can answer them. Otherwise, just continue talking, and I'll talk about the extra credit project. In a few minutes. Okay? How about that? That way we can be sure that everybody's here. Yeah. Okay. Cool. In fact, I'm going to turn off my video. Maybe turn the laptop around or something so that I'm not in your face. You can just continue to talk, and I'll join you in about 5 minutes. Okay? Yeah. Is that okay? Great. Great. Okay. Awesome.
So what quest is everybody on?
I'm on quest 2 right now.
Who is already done with all of them? I want to look this guy in the eye. Who?
Yeah, that's
Who?
crazy. We're supposed to do 1 quest per week, right? I mean, like that's
Supposed
the
to. Technically, you can get through all of them in a couple of days if you really go on.
a couple of days. That's crazy.
I mean, if you literally go full in, theoretically, I think you can. I actually did it. I did a few of them in a couple of days. It's very, very hard, actually.
On red, right?
No. The green, the 2B.
Oh, right. Yeah,
so
I
red is gonna
completed
be
that.
harder.
I just completed my quest 1 on red. So I'm on quest 2 red right now.
The thing is, I didn't really understand for quest 1 because it's given the 2 to the power of n, but I'm not really sure how we got there. Why is that 2 to the power of n complexity?
Oof,
I think I know why.
Why is it?
Because when you go through each element and you're adding to it, you can either choose to add that element to that set, or you can choose not to. So you can branch through each of them. So that's 2, 2, 2. So it's 2 to the power of n.
Because
Right.
you have 2 options for each one. You're either picking it or not. So that combined together is 2. And then if you had another one, you have to multiply by 2. And so on and so forth. So
Right, I understand
the
that it's 2
combinatorics
to the
is
power
2
of n is the number of possibilities you have, but then the time complexity, what was that, exponential, or what was it? I can't remember.
And complexity is because of those possibilities. You have to explore them.
Say again?
Because you're going to explore those possibilities, wouldn't that be the time complexity itself?
Right. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying, but I don't think it's that simple. I think you need to see, if I remember correctly, how many loops you have, because you usually round time complexity.
Actually,
think it
you don't
depends how
have to
you-
think too much about the loop or how it works. If you're just analyzing the time complexity, you can just think about like how many possibilities you're exploring for your algorithm to work. So in this case, if your algorithm is just trying to explore all the possibilities and then see if it's is a match, then in that case it's gonna be an 2 to the n time complexity, as long as your algorithm works efficiently.
So you're saying the number of possibilities is the time complexity.
I mean, we can absolutely reduce that further,
Right.
but that's like the worst case possible, right? Because the worst case is that you're gonna have to explore every single possibility, every single subset, and then compare it one by one to see which one is a match.
Right. So I guess if you have a loop, then it's how many number of elements you have. So I guess it's in the same logic where the time complexity is how many elements you have, which is 10 to the power of n. So I think
Yeah,
that
you
makes-
can say element. You can also say like all the possible generated subsets.
Right. I see what you mean. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask, I asked it indirectly because I didn't want to give too much information and share too much on the subreddit, but I was thinking, would it be a good idea to order the numbers before implementing the algorithm? Because or would it affect any getting the trophies?
I'm sorry, I didn't really understand you.
So have you started the quest yet?
You
No,
mean
I just read through it. Me.
you mean to sort it before we go with our algorithm?
Yeah, I was thinking if that could be a possibility. I don't want
I
to
mean,
discuss too much.
I think
but,
that could be a possibility if we're working with just integers. But in this case, because that class or that function is we're actually working with generics or like template types. So we don't really know like what's in that. We don't really know the inner data type, like what it looks like. So we don't know how to sort it. That's
but
a problem.
I implemented it with the template class. So I did the operator overload.
Oh, you did the operator over for the
Yeah.
sorting?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So
Uh,
that actually helped you to reduce the time complexity of your algorithm.
I think I haven't implemented it yet, but I am thinking of whether that would actually reduce it or not. Because once you get like past a certain point, like maybe halfway, you can kind of tell that the next element is going to be an overshoot, or is going to be or you can still advance. If I don't know if that makes sense.
I think it can only reduce our time complexity if that's actually a greedy problem, but that can be a dynamic programming problem, not a greedy problem, because greedy is just at each step we're trying to find the best match for or in this case the best integer element to put in our subsets, but we don't really know like what to expect later if we put, for example, if we put 40 here, we don't really know if the next one is gonna be 2000 or maybe 41 or something. So it can grow really large. And in that case, maybe if we just pick the one that fits in here, it's probably not gonna be a match later. I I actually I don't really know how to expand this, but yeah.
I
What
don't mean to.
what I was trying to say is that I think sorting makes more sense for the greedy problems. Yeah.
And I hope I'm not giving too much information for those who haven't done it. Like I don't want to break any rules.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure it's fine. It's like a probably pretty typical like thought experiments, I guess. It's like, oh, what happens if we sort it and like how does that change? Like I don't think it's necessarily impossible to come up with on your own.
Fair enough.
So is the extra credit AI or like language modeling?
Language model.
We're going to talk about that in a minute when everybody's here.
All right. Yeah, well, I heard someone mentioned extra credit, so I guess you're ready. We could talk about it. So anyone who's done completed Quest 9 and close to dogging it or in the process of dogging it and confident they'll dog it before the end of the quarter, they can get into this project. And I tried to run it this last quarter, but I think it needs a bit more direction from me because I let it, if I let it completely in the hands of the students, you haven't got experience yet, I think, in out there. So people, especially younger students, will tend to generalize things too much. And the process of generalization also involves making it more complex because you're not accounting for one situation anymore. You're accounting for many situations. And therefore, I think that, what I've seen in a lot of beginner programmers is that the project quickly becomes very complex and unmanageable and messy. And whereas if you take a professional who's been there and seasoned and look at their code, they're not accounting for generalizations before even having, thought about the real use cases. So so in that sense, I think that premature generalization is the root of all inefficiency. But also not just inefficiency, it's also the root of all abandoned projects, because what happens is that project becomes too complex or it doesn't produce a demo that we are after. And then it gets, people give up on it. So what we'll do this time is essentially I'll just walk you through the code just like I do in 2A. I don't know how many of you have done my 2A. Yo, Ryan, you're here. Wow, you cut your hair. Wait, I couldn't recognize you without your hair now. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, my camera wasn't working last time.
Okay, but you didn't do my 2A either. Did you do my 2A?
No,
right.
I started in 2B.
2A here. Nobody's done my 2A?
Yeah, I've been in the 2A and 2B.
Oh, you've been in my 2A, Mark. Yeah, I recognize
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so and you did some coding exercises on screen too with me too, right? With the rest of the class.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I'm thinking we'll do. So that this time it's very focused and there's we're driving towards one thing very clearly. However, in the process of coding through the big project, what I'll do is, as if it's a 2B or 2C level, I'm going to leave more gaps with to-dos in there, and you've got to flesh it out. And so I think it'll be a cool project, an interesting thing to do. And I think things that we'll cover here are we'll build a language model. We'll start a very simple language model, unigram. I'll introduce back-off techniques, how to interpolate language models and so on. Then we'll go to a bigram model and a trigram model if possible. And we'll use Google Docs in math mode or my iPad with a pen to work through the math part of it. It's very simple, very simple equations. So essentially what we're going to be doing is language modeling. And we'll do, not large language models like GPT-4 and all. They have like trillions and trillions of parameters, but you'll actually be able to count the number of parameters, and you'll actually be able to see how many parameters, how you can grow the number of parameters in relative to the amount of resources you got, and all of those things. So we can build a language model that will initially we'll do it in we'll do it one way, which is given a piece of text. You'll say which famous author that a piece of text most resembles in style. Okay, so in fact, if there's time and you guys are interested, we can turn this into I can show you, I can walk you through the creation of a web app, on AWS Cloud or Google Cloud or something like that. So people can go to a website and it'll ask them, type something, and it will tell you what famous author you type like, okay? And they type a passage and it'll give scores. Hey, your writing sounds like Mark Twain, 84%. Sounds like, Charles Dickens, 23%, Shakespeare, 10%, things like that. So you can get that thing. And it'll be an interesting, it's very basic language modeling. using limited evidence. As you throw in more and more evidence, your model becomes more complex. Eventually, you can even use it for speech recognition. So ultimately, speech recognition is actually recognizing a waveform where the acoustic evidence is also thrown in in addition to the lexical evidence, right? So we can do that. But on the other hand, you can also take it the other direction, which is more interesting, I think. More topical. I shouldn't say more interesting, right? They're all equally interesting. More topical is that you can turn the language model that you develop into a generative language model, okay, like ChatGPT. So you can go to the same kind of website, and you can say, write me a paragraph like Mark Twain. Okay, well, you'll have to be an author that's been modeled in the system, right? So you'll be modeling a whole bunch of authors from Gutenberg.org. And then someone could say, hey, give me a passage like Mark Twain. Okay, and it'll generate sentences like Mark Twain, or similar to Mark Twain, high probability Mark Twain like sentences. And of course, it's not going to be like high quality like ChatGPT and all, but you'll see how it's happening, how it works, and how to throw in additional parameters, and what kinds of parameters, whether they're lexical or non-lexical parameters, or parts of speech parameters, or grammatical syntax parameters. All of those things can be thrown in to calculate the probability of the output sentence. And the more of these parameters the model uses, the more human-like the sentence will be. Yeah, and you can see where all this goes eventually, right? So you can build a chatbot or a robot that generates sentences of a particular kind. Even building in something like ELIZA, which you did in Blue Quest number 5. So you can interpolate the language model of the user's own text. So the user is talking with you, and you can build a language model of the user's own language and interpolate that. And so you can do an ELIZA-like behavior, which is almost like chatting with an AI person, and you'll be able to do all of that. And the thing is, you've got to be done with 2C, all of the red quest, okay? Because it'll take a lot of energy, and you shouldn't be doing a lot of other challenging courses. But if you do this, you'll and then you'll do a lot of this on Unix and Linux or something like that. I think that's the easiest thing to do right now, right? Let's not mess with GUIs at the moment. Do it on Linux and Unix. Port it onto AWS on a web server or a Docker container or something like that. And so people can just visit a website and type in, right? You don't have to do it. You'll do it on a Linux terminal. But in the process of doing that, I'll walk you through the Linux commands and the shell scripting and things like that, and the setting up of the data, and the script directories and binary directories and everything. So you have a good idea of how this big project will eventually evolve, right? We'll keep the versioning out of it. So we're not going to use, you can use your own versioning system. We'll just work with the code. It's not a whole lot of code, okay? Especially since you'll be done with red by then. You know how to do hash tables. And I'm pretty sure you'll be, very comfortable with basic mathematics. Yeah. But for the kinds of mathematics I'm thinking about, basic statistics, right? So the calculation of probabilities, calculation of joint probabilities. I'll walk you through all of that, right? It's very simple. And in fact, you also know that if I want to maximize a probability of 3 things, right? A, B, and C. So it's, or let's say P of A times P of B times P of C, PA, PB, PC. But you can also maximize the log of those things, yes? So it'll be a log PA plus log P. So you can turn the multiplications into division, additions in log space, whereas they're happening in in non-log space, they're happening multiplicatively. In log space, we turn everything because log function, maximizing some function is the same as maximizing the log function because they're both monotonically increasing. Yes. So you can anytime you have to maximize a product, just take a logarithm of the whole thing and maximize the log of it. So you're gonna just add the logs instead of. So those are interesting things that professionals use all the time in the field, right? Say, hey, let's go to log space and do it, but you'll get a chance to use it and see this is what happens, and how to do language models, how to create a language model, how to store a language, how to use a language model, how to calculate the probability, the average probability that a sentence was uttered by Shakespeare. All of those things are interesting things to do, not just for accepting input and calculating the probabilities, but also for generating output, generating text in a particular style. So all of that will be possible. So anyway, I hope that's interesting and exciting enough. So anyone who's done all of the quests can start, and it will do it in such a way that even people who complete things later on, week 6, week 7, and so on, they can just jump into the project at that time, right? And pick up along the way. Talk to the rest of the people who've been there from from the beginning. And eventually it'll just be a big group project. Everybody will be working on it and different pieces, but I'll make sure that it just doesn't go, haywire by, keeping an eye on it and saying, okay, yeah, all right. So and this thing needs to get done, and this, one person can do that, one person can do that, and someone has to integrate those things. I'll keep an eye on these things. Okay, hopefully this will drive towards a completed thing and get it done too. Likewise, with Chris and Adam, we're working on the rotating a cube on screen. Again, that was also meant to be very simple, but Chris and Adam developed a more generalized form of being able to rotate a cube anywhere in space around any point. Okay, so that involves a lot more mathematics, but unfortunately the side effect of that is that the project takes more time and it won't be ready for a demo, and the demo may not look as good as you want it to do and all. So I'm trying to offer the same project to my 2B students this quarter, right? Anyone who's in 2B who has finished all 9 green quests, they can work on that 2B extra credit project with me. They're rotating a cube, and I'll walk them through the entire code this time, right? Entire code, with lots of to-dos, which will be fun to fill in for the students. So I'll be sure to do that too. So is that okay with you guys? So that's all I wanted to say. I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have. It doesn't have to be about extra credit. Okay, if you have any questions about actually, by the way, when did the quest? Yeah, I thought the first red quest froze this morning. Okay, so I got up and I said, okay, I got to see how many people have completed. And I saw that some of you have completed, but not all of you. And I said, well, you know what? That's a bummer. How come so many people haven't completed? But then I saw in the syllabus that it actually is next week, next Monday. It's not this Monday. Okay, so and I'm pretty confident that most of you would be done by quest number 1 by next Monday. Okay, the way you're going, I think you should be able to finish it. And also the other thing I wanted to say was that those of you who are on green and haven't crossed, let's say those of you who haven't crossed green 4, okay, let's say green 4. If you cross green 4, I think chances are very high that you'll be able to cover everything before Friday, and then the weekend to work on red 1, and you're done. Okay, by the freeze date, you're done. If you're in green 4. However, so the danger is if you're not done with green 4 yet. Okay, this green 4 could take a lot of time. Green 3, if you haven't not done with green 3, I'm pretty sure most students will say I'm not gonna, because this is only 2 quests done. So if you've done 3 and then you're stuck on 4, and it looks like, well, I'm not able to do everything. So here's an option, and maybe I'll make an announcement. I think it's a good option, but I don't know if Foothill will allow you to do it. And so the reason I say that is because the option this option is, if you drop 2C, I'll give you an ad code for 2B, and you get into my 2B, already having done the first 3 green quests and completed all the blue, and that also gives you a hell of a lot more time to build up your portfolio on Reddit with really kick-ass posts and a fantastic portfolio. And someone says, I want to, some ex-colleagues say, hey, do you know any great programmers? I want to join in my team. We're looking to hire in my team or something like that. But, I don't give any recommendations or references anymore. I just tell them, what, I got a lot of really bright students. Hey, most of my students are really bright. Just go to the Reddit and take a look, right? And just click on any username and you can talk to them too. So that's what I would tell them. And so you'd have and I can tell you from the position of a hiring manager in my past lives, okay? No amount of reading resumes, talking to people, phoning other people and asking about them, none of this, and even interviewing one-on-one on a whiteboard, having other people interview, and none of that, okay? Everything pales in comparison to what I would see from you guys, what I've seen from you guys on the forums. Because in the forums on Reddit, I see not only your technical expertise, okay, because you guys are making kick-ass posts, you're generating incredible insights that many of these insights would, even on Stack Overflow, it's hard to find some of these really, really interesting things to say. And you guys are you're making great observations, but more than that, okay, you're demonstrating that you're a fantastic team player, okay, because you are not only just marching on and I want to get everything out of the way, I want to stampede and and get ahead and walk on other people. No, that's not happening. Okay, I see that even people who are done with all the quests Oliver could have just taken off. He finished all the quests. Adam too. They're still hanging around, and they're looking at the posts, and they're saying, well, you know what? Here, this is one possible reason you could look at. So people are still here, even though people are completing everything. They're still around and helping other people to complete. It's fantastic. Those are the kinds of people I would want to hire. Okay, if I was a hiring manager and I looked at some post that says, hey, that guy made an incredible comment about indirect sort. Okay. Or something very subtle about splaying operations. And by the way, and not only that, he or she also explained it in a very beautiful and kind way to someone else, which means that person is a must-have in my team, because not only that person is great, that person is also very likely to make other people great around him, right? So around them, people will start getting better and better, because that person is not only brilliant, but also able to shine and make everybody else luminous like them. Okay, so that's the kind of person everybody wants to hire, and there are brilliant examples of that on our forum, on our forums, all of them, 2A, 2B, and 2C, and hopefully you'll get more of an opportunity to do that. And that's what I was trying to say, because with just one quarter, just 2C, that's 3 months, and you're doing other courses, it's a pain. So if you've not already done 2B, that's the catch. If you've done 2B in either Foothill or De Anza, I think it's in De Anza, it's called 22B. All right, CIS 22B. And here it's 2B. If you've done that course and you have got anything other than an F or a withdrawal, right? Meaning that you got a C or above. If you pass the class, that's it. Okay, the government won't pay for a second freebie. Okay, because think of it, each of these classes essentially is a freebie. Who gives a complete 3-month course for $150? Yeah, it's not $150. The taxpayers pay a lot of money, and my salary and the running expenses of Foothill, and all of that comes from taxpayer money. So your education is subsidized. That's why there is a law that says certain classes you can't take more than once. We'll give you a chance to do it once at Foothill. And so if you've done it 2B once and you can't enroll again, but if you haven't done 2B once, this is a great opportunity. For $150, just do it one more time. Just do it, do 2B this quarter, take the ad code, do 2B, you're already ahead. So you'll have a great time. And talk to all the other people in class who've already done 2B, okay? And tell them they had a lot of fun the entire 3 months. It's not like they had to condense everything in 1 week and get through it. Although it's possible to condense everything in 1 week and do it, but it's a lot more fun if you do it over the entire quarter. So if you do 2B, I have space, but I'm not looking for students, right? Because I've got more than the threshold. 20 is the threshold when we cut off. And so I'm definitely running through CS2B this quarter. And I'm happy to give ad codes to students. So if you guys are interested, it's just a matter of transferring from 2C to 2B. You don't have to drop 2C, get the ad code and get into 2B, and you'll be ahead. And then, and hopefully you'll be done with all the green quests before the end of 2B and start working on the red. And by the time you enroll in red, when is the next time I'll offer red? It's going to be in fall, okay? In fall, it'll be after summer. Maybe in summer, you can even work on extra credit or stuff like that, okay? And in fall, when you come to 2C, you're probably already done with all the quests, like Oliver or Adam and all the other people. And you just hang around and have fun and answer other people's questions and just pick up a solid A on the way out. Okay, so those are options you can consider. But I don't know your constraints. Okay, some of you may have transfer plans and things like that. So just wanted to toss this idea.
Professor Mask, when it's going to start, because you said people can join along the way, but when is it officially starting?
Anytime you finish red 9 and well on the way to dogging it, meaning you only have like 3 or 4 quests that you have to dog. Most of them you've dogged, and then you're right. So that means you can work on the extra credit as well as the.
So when you say dog, you mean like complete them fast? Is that what you mean?
No. Dogging means you got to get all the trophies, not just.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes a little bit more time, but not a great deal more time. But it does take understanding the data structure properly. That's all. Because efficiency points, like for queues in green 9, you can only dog it after you do the efficient implementation. Without the efficient implementation, you can pop it. Yeah. So like those.
So I have to dog the red quest, not the previous ones, right? Or also the.
If you don't dog the green quest, you lose 4%. Yes, because dogging blue is 2%, dogging green is 4%. So 6% for dogging blue and green. So if you don't dog those two, your maximum is 94. That means then A plus is out of question.
I see. Okay.
Actually, that's all I had to say. Unless you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer questions. Hey, Saul and Antonio, welcome. You should also feel free to switch on your cameras. I actually don't have much else to say. Like I said, I'm happy to answer questions. Otherwise, I'll leave the meeting so that you guys can carry on your usual conversation and have fun.
Professor, regarding the extra credit, are we gonna use Python or C++ or
Yeah,
other?
good question. Okay, all right. You can totally use Python. Yeah, you can. This is the language modeling one. Yeah, totally use Python. And for text processing, for hash tables, yeah, you can use Python dictionaries. Yeah, you can use Python. So it's fine.
Maybe we can use Rust in some pieces.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't. In fact, I'm not even going to get into the details of how you do it. You can do it in, Go or any language you choose, right? So I don't even have to know the language, Java, because it's possible. It's just algorithmic logic. Eventually, at some point, when the language model becomes enormous and huge, you may say, okay, Python is not going to cut it anymore. I'm going to turn it into a C++ project, proper C++ project. So everything has exactly the number of bytes needed for it, and no more overhead at all. So eventually you might decide to migrate the final, right? So by the way, all of the AI, ML, text processing things have two parts to it. The first part is the data cleanup, the text processing, okay? Text processing, usually people don't do it in C++, okay? C++ is reserved for the heavy duty hash table, number crunching and calculating probabilities, log probabilities, transforming surfaces. That's what you use C++ for, okay? Matrix multiplication and all. But before you get to that, the text needs to be like squeaky clean, squeaky super duper clean, meaning that you look at the text that's going to go into C++, it's already ready to be modeled. Okay, you can actually look at it and say that it's ready to be modeled, broken up into tokens and all. Cleaning up is a great deal of work. Okay, that's almost like 80 to 90% of all the work in machine learning, right? Lots of people go into machine learning, think it's really glamorous. I'm going to do a lot of stuff, but a lot of machine learning is janitorial. You got to do a lot of cleanup before you get to the juicy part, which is, but even the cleanup can be juicy, really. So that part, I used to do it using shell scripts, because they're equally efficient in terms of if you set up a Unix pipeline using SED or something, a stream editor, it's just an O of one stream. It's, a stream of characters flowing through a pipeline. It's all, the operating system will take care of semaphores and, management, consumer producer things and everything. So every character is only getting touched once by each of the modules that's going to make modifications to it. So as the stream flows through, it's garbage, but you can see as it's flowing through the pipeline, it's getting cleaned, right? All the garbage is getting thrown out. It's getting cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. Okay, and out the other end, you get clean, squeaky clean, shiny text that you can go feed directly into your language modeling, right? So that part is done in C++. But that is really simple, right? Less than 100 lines, really, because we're going to be using, STL hash tables, I guess. You can do it in Python, but once it gets bigger, it'll be easier to do it in C++ for sure. Yeah, totally. You don't have to. Yeah, Rust. Yeah, if you want to use Rust and get familiar with it, and it's interesting and all, yeah, go for it. But it doesn't really call for that much of memory safe implementations. It's not that risky to the code that you'll be working on here. Well, in fact, I doubt if you'll even have to do mallocs new. You won't even have to do any explicit allocation of memory, because most of the time you'll end up using the STL, and the STL will take care of everything. Yeah. So I've written a lot of that code in C++ in the past, in past lives. And you'd be surprised how little I used actual memory allocation, because the STL does it very nicely. As you've done hash tables and things like that, right? So you won't be actually working with explicit memory allocation and all, but it'll be fun all the same. Yeah, that's what it is, right? So no hurry. By the way, no hurry. This is just week two. So you have a lot of time. I just wanted to throw it out there. Plus, I wanted to have something to talk about today in case you didn't have any questions for me. Okay, so that was it. I don't have anything else. I can stop by again next week, especially if you guys email me something, say, hey, come to the meeting again. We may have some questions. I'm happy to come. Otherwise, maybe later on, right? Once in a while, I'll stop by. Right, when I'm feeling, when I have these, what do they call them? Separation anxiety, right? Something like that, right? Oh, I want to see my students. Okay, it's a long time since I saw my students. I'll come by. It is fun for me. I enjoy looking at all of you guys, and all these interesting projects brewing in your head. Okay, because even as you're talking to me and all your other classmates, some part of your brain is already working out all these interesting things that you can try and do with these things, these projects. And those are all seeds that are getting scattered in your brain, and something will just take root and grow into a beautiful tree, right? So just keep that going. So unless you have any other questions for me,
I have a question.
nobody else is talking. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah. So
Can I ask a question about Quest?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the quest that I'm working on is the first one on red.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was wondering a couple of things. It was the order, whether the order really matters of the test cases, whether we can manipulate it within the method.
Order of test cases. Did you say order of test cases?
No. In the test cases for the master pointer for elements.
Right. You mean the order of the elements in the master set?
Yes, exactly. Can we alter that?
All right. So that's a good question. Okay, it's a good question, because in fact I believe there is something in the spec, even that there's something in the spec that says if the elements are ordered in decreasing order, then you get some of the some elements can be excluded early on or something like that. It's a very good question. However, I'm not going to give you the answer to that, because you can easily try it. Right? But don't do the reordering yet. Just pass everything. But after you've passed everything, and make sure you don't get a TLE and all. So make sure you get all the large sets and identify everything. After that, you'll still have time, I think, because you're already doing this quest, right? You have time. So then you can say, well, how can I make it better? Maybe if I try and reorder the master set, do I get this thing, right? But you'll find, and then you'll find, well, if I reorder it, maybe I'll get the set faster, but it's not the set the tester wants anymore, because because there are multiple answers. Yes. Because in subset there's multiple answers, so you got to make sure you get the exact same answer as the reference code. But if you mess with the order of the master, and I don't mess with the order of the master, maybe you'll end up with a different set, unless you have some clever way of keeping track of these things, which is a mess, really, I think. But you should experience that and find out. Okay, so I think you'll have a lot of time to play with this. Okay, so it should be fun.
Also, one more question really quick. So suppose we have a case where we could, whenever you go through all the numbers, you get to a point where it's not exactly on the target, but it's very close. And is that included when the spec says if you cannot reach the target, just give it all you've got?
Oh, you've considered every set, and so you've got one subset. So yeah, essentially you've considered every possible subset indirectly, because you may have considered a parent and excluded the parent, but all the subsets that contain the parent are also gone. Yes. So essentially you've considered 2 to the n sets by the time you make that call. So yeah. It was, again, what was your question? Yeah. All right. So as you're finding the set, you're always keeping track of the closest you've got to the target, right? Suppose you get to the end and you haven't found the target. You say, oh, I haven't found the target. This is the closest I've got. Even that has also got to be exactly the same as the reference code, because again, the closest target, you could have 2 of those, right? 2 of multiple ones of those. So even that has to be the exact same.
And you can have negative numbers, right? Can you have negative values?
No. Okay. So that, in fact, do I mention that in the spec? Because if you have negative values, the algorithm gets screwed up. This algorithm won't work anymore. Yeah. So you got to have a completely different algorithm. You got to offset things, and it's a mess. Okay. So no negative values, and you have 0. Yeah, you can have 0. You can have 0, but not negative values.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's all I've got.
Great, great. Andrew, welcome back. Yeah, you joined later. I think I didn't see you.
Professor, may I
Viviani,
ask you something before I go?
Yeah, sure.
So I know for the Q quest, there is a hidden trophy for efficiency, which I couldn't really get for some reason. Is that considered?
Oh, you gotta get it. You gotta get it. Because you gotta pop green for the 4 points.
Right, so the thing is, okay, so I have to get that to dark green, right? The hidden trophy in the Q quest. Okay,
Yes, yes.
okay, I see.
And then, oh yeah, yeah, and you shouldn't look at the past posts for green. Also, yeah, just honor code and don't share your code like you did with the hash table last quarter. Okay, no,
Yeah.
not hash table. Something you shared some code last quarter. Twice. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
my bad. Mhm.
Yeah, so you should no sharing of code, no asking your classmates, showing actual code saying, hey, what's going on? Where's my bug? That you got to spend sleepless nights looking at your code. And
but I can do new code, right? What if
Yeah,
I start
totally.
like new code on the screen? That's fine.
Yeah, you
Okay.
just have to dog it. So just yeah. In fact, that'll help. Just throw away your old code, start from scratch. Here's a common misconception a lot of people have about the computer science courses. It is the same as music and all these any other art, right? They say, well, there's a sequence of things I need to know this is right. I learn, okay, check mark and gone. That actually does nothing at all to your life as a programmer. Okay, what you need to learn is, it's not enough to, make one pot or make one statue and show, hey, Michelangelo, I've done my statue, is it good? No, he's going to say, all right, no, that's really good, that's fantastic. Now make 5,000 more like that. Okay, so you got to make the same thing over and over. You have to encounter the same situation many, many times. The idea there is not to say, oh, I know, memorize this. No, there's lots of things that go into that. All of them, right? Those little things will just become automatic for you. You're not going to memorize the whole thing, but all these little pieces, like they fall into pieces. And big melodies, they have chunks from other pieces of other melodies, right? So by playing a lot of music, you find, okay, that phrase, this phrase, this phrase, this phrase, you can link them up together, and you a completely new song is just that's how it works with programming.
Right. Don't try to make good things. Try to make as many things as possible.
Many. Yeah. Right. And quests also it's not enough to pass the quest. You got to be able to do all the quests again and again. That's why I said 2C means you should be ready to be able to do all of the blue quests in one day. All of the blue in one day. They're saying, no, I passed the blue in 3 months' time. Okay, I've done my 2A. No, that doesn't cut it. I said, I passed blue, but the goal of CS2A, the goal of blue is to make sure that you do it once, you do it many, many, many times in your sleep, and you're walking along, you're thinking about it, so that later on, when someone says do it, you can do it like that.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. All right, thank you. I gotta go.
Cool. All right, I gotta go too. I got a 2B meeting now.
Wait,
all
Professor,
right,
can
so-
I ask one
Yeah,
thing
sure.
before you
Yeah,
go?
yeah.
Is there a deadline by when we have to dog the blue and green quests?
No, if you've popped all the blue and green, and take your time, okay? You got to
Okay.
pop, deadline is for popping blue and green. Once you pop blue and green, come back and try, because it's, you keep in mind, 4 + 2, 6 points, 6 points, right? 6 points is, it takes you down to 94. It's very close to A even. 2 more points and you into A- territory. So you got to keep that in mind. And so you keep coming back. That's why I say reduce all your other load, okay? I had a meeting with someone some time ago. Right? And I said, if you're doing English, for example, okay, English, any language course, advanced courses, not the leading entry-level ones, okay, advanced English, stuff like that, you pretty much you're screwed in CS2A, because these things take a lot of time. English, they'll give you a thick book, and you got to read it and paraphrase The Great Gatsby in like 2 weeks, right? And you got to read everything. It's not like you can skim through it. You can read some notes online. You got to read all. So it takes a lot of time. English takes a lot of time. So don't enroll in other courses that are hard and time consuming. Do things that are fun. Will just fill up your, give you the credits required. Everything else should be reserved for challenging courses, computer science, physics, and math. Okay, not even biology. Physics and math, because eventually you're going to go into machine learning. Maybe some of you will go into machine learning and AI. Machine learning is empirical science. Okay, it's not theoretical mathematical science. Machine learning is empirical because you're dealing with data. You're looking at what's outlier and things like that. You're measuring things. So you got to be good at physics, how, measuring things and setting up controls. Saying, but setting up controls is also good for debugging in general, right? Because debugging is a process of basically controlling your program so that only one thing changes. You can find out. So that's why physics is good, I think. Experimental sciences, chemistry, yeah, okay. But you keep hard courses should be restricted to. This is just my advice, okay? Like an uncle kind of advice, okay? Hard courses in high school after you've decided that you want to major in STEM, not even STEM, right? In computer science or math or stuff like that. Should computer science, mathematics, statistics, and then physics, okay, for the empirical side of things.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Just because I know you said you had to leave soon. I had a question about the quest. You said on here that for some of the functions, if we didn't fully get what the purpose of them needed to be, we could ask about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the first quest, it had one function that was called add
Elements.
element. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming what you do with that one is you take the end that's passed to you and you put that into your element vector, right?
Oh yes. Adam elem, is it one elem, not elements?
Yeah, just one. Yeah. That one was good. But then the second one right under that, the add all, is that you're summing together everything in the master vector, or you're summing together everything in the elim vector to like get a sum for your set?
Yeah, I forgot, Andrew. I have to look in the code. Maybe Oliver or someone maybe remember. I think add all is probably add everything in the master, but I may be mistaken there.
Yeah, you're adding every single element. So basically you're taking your add element and then applying that to fill up the entire master vector at once.
Okay. So your master vector that gets passed to you with the pointer, you're adding everything from that.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha. That is good to know. And then you're putting that into the sum, right? There's a little variable in there, sum, size t. Put it in there.
I'd have to check. I don't remember exactly where it was implemented, but
that would line up the most. Thank you.
All right. Is that it? Okay, great. I'm glad to see you all. I had an opportunity to see your faces one more time. So until the next time, bye. And those of you who are interested in getting started on this project, just send me an email, okay? And then we'll set up a Zoom session. We'll record that too. We'll record that too for people who want to join later on. They can watch that. Yeah. Why am I doing this, by the way? There's other easier extracurricular projects, but I think this sounds like fun. And also I think because we started doing it last class and then Yam and Nathan didn't have time at the end. So I thought, well, it's a pity. Well, maybe we'll try and finish it this quarter. Okay, that's why we're doing it. I think it'll be fun. Okay, it'll be fun because Matthew actually, one of my past students, Matthew, several quarters ago, he did a demo of this in the STEM Center, and lots of people were interested. They stopped by at his booth and I said, trying things out. Okay, so it was actually fun. So I think you'll have great fun too. All right, thank you guys so much. I hope it doesn't stop recording, but otherwise just keep carrying on with your conversation. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. Leave meeting, great. Oh, I got to assign a guest. Okay, how about someone has got to be guest here? Who wants to be guest? Dylan, do you want to get host? Do you want to host the meeting? I have to assign it to you. Okay, all right, good.
I just have one question. Like, how many trophies did you guys get for Quest 1 and Quest 2?
I don't remember.
Because I got 26 and 29, but I feel like for Quest 1, there can be more than 26. But I think Quest 2 is 29.
I got 28 for quest 1.
Yeah, so I think I'm like, what was the last, like, what was the last, like, trophies did you get? Was it like the songs, like the greater than 10 thongs or
I
something?
think
Or
it's probably the efficiency stuff.
yeah. Like, did it just say efficiency on it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. Thanks.
Random question, is those who have finished all the red quests, how much time would you, how much time do you think it would take? If someone were just to start and only work with us?
Can you say that again? It wasn't very clear.
How much time would you think, how much time do you think it would take if someone just started the red quests and only worked on that? That's not so.
I mean, just started red quest and then only
just-
work on red quest and nothing else in their life.
Yeah, like just 8 hours a day, like it's a day job.
That's actually what I did. And then I spent a week doing it. Yeah.
And dog, not just puppet.
I haven't dogged it. I think I missed a few probably later ones. Some of
Yeah, like
them are
quest, like for quest 1, like there's some efficiency thing I guess I'm missing, but because it says that quest masters got tired of waiting.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
then
Oh yeah, that's definitely a TLE.
yeah, that's a TOE.
But I still got like 26. That's like most of it. So I
What's
guess it must be like
TLE?
something.
It's time limit exceeded.
You're gonna want to beat those because by the time you get to quest 3, you can't pass quest 3 unless you beat like
The medium sparse
Yeah.
matrix.
if you run out of time, you won't pass. I spent all of like the last half of last week
I
pulling up.
haven't even been the large one yet. I'm gonna go back there later after I pop everything.
Oh, on 3.
Yeah.
I like stumbled into it. I was very lucky. I would also say that like I don't know if rushing through the class is the smartest thing, just in terms of the retention of a lot of the stuff that we're learning. So like you could theoretically knock it out in a week, but I think he mentions the point of this of like keeping it to a reasonable pace, but getting done quickly is probably the best way to go. But obviously that's to everybody's individual learning style. But
Yeah, just do it at your own pace. I did it that way because I'm taking a lot of classes this quarter, so I kind of because that's already out there, so I just try to complete whatever I can do beforehand so that I won't be as busy for this quarter.
Nice background.
When do we normally determine like we're gonna end the meeting?
Usually people just start dropping out.
Okay.
Whenever you're feeling like it's time to go, you go.
Okay.
I'll keep going. Up to you.
I always just sit and like listen and then do some of the coding in the background while I'm listening, and it's like, or like I'm typing up my classes for Quest 4 right now, just like getting ready to work it. It's always a fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm like always prepping the week's quest during the meeting so that I can do the quest that week.
So is the professor talk about the people who fallen behind? Like, I am totally not even in green yet. So what's the consequence? Is it just not getting a point? How does it work?
He was saying that if you were not through green, if you're not on green 4 already, he would recommend dropping the class.
What if I don't drop?
I mean, you get through it, but you're you will lose points if you don't hit the freeze quest states.
For the pupping, right?
It's
Pupping green.
Yeah, just work on pupping green and blue for now. Like you can dog it after you pup it, but then your first priority should be finishing green and blue and then red for the next week, you said, I think. When does it freeze? Is it this week? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
green
Next
freezes
on
on
the-
Wednesday, I think.
Okay, yeah.
yeah. So that is 9 point, right? So okay, if I lose 9 point,
9%, yeah.
yeah, and the remaining is still okay, right?
Yeah. You just have to get the remaining done by the time those quests freeze. So like green freezes on Wednesday, and then red 1 freezes on Monday. And then red 2 freezes the week after that. So it just kind of goes from there.
Got it. Thanks.
He suggested to transfer to CS2B, right? If you're not finished with the green quests.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said he'll give you an ad code for his 2B if you haven't taken 2B before.
Oh, but if you have and withdrew from it, do you know if he's willing to give you an ad code? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
if you withdrew, you're allowed to take it again. But if you have a grade of a C or better, you're not allowed to repeat a class.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do then. Because I'm still stuck on quest 1 for green. And it's very like the specifics. It keeps telling me touch something that wasn't mine and got terminated for it. Maybe you got a broken pointer somewhere. And it's not very specific, right? So I'm not
That's
sure.
kind of how his class is. It's a lot of you gotta troubleshoot it yourself.
In that case, you're gonna have to look at the memory leak report.
Oh, memory leak reports. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So is this class basically it's you debug it, most of the things just debug it yourself. If you don't understand it, just ask questions, but not code.
Mhm.
And that
I
is
think-
going to be
yeah.
the remaining of the class. Okay.
I think technically there's still a course material that is the elusive, whatever that's called. I forgot.
Oh, you mean
It-
there's course material? I didn't see anywhere. Maybe
there's a-
Elusive module, it's
elusive
like a
modules.
reading. It can help for the quests, but not always.
But I think if you wanna like start from scratch, you can just study that.
Thank you.
Yeah, the
I'd
module.
say, go on. Yeah, I'd say just try to gather knowledge of the data structure in question before you start working on the quest, or you can go in blind, but it will take a lot of time.
So it's any of you reading the material before doing a quest? I have been just doing a quest.
I also have been just doing the quest, but I did some like prior research about the data structure before I jumped into the quest.
Okay.
I'm usually doing, if the module exists for the for the data structure, then I'm reading the material, and then I'm also usually
Yeah.
reading on Google about like what I need to think about implementing, because all of the things you implement for him are a small twist on what like a normal thing would be. So it's not like you can find the exact answer online, but you can learn kind of what he's after online. And the other reason to read the modules is because we have a midterm and a final that are based on those modules, and they're not the easiest to get. They're not
That's fine.
super hard, but they're not super easy either.
That's when I usually start reading up the module, midterm and final.
Test time.
Except, yeah, I guess except for like Quest or like very specific implementation, like the cellular automata that requires me to read the module. But other than that, I didn't recall opening the module other than for the finals and midterm and that Quest in particular.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, like Quest 7 green, like Q, that's like a very standard data structure. I just research about that mostly. Quest 4 green is also the tree. So yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone. I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even I'm gonna go. See you
Alright.
guys.
I'm gonna
Good to call
bounce
it
too.
here.
See you guys.
Well, all right then. See you.
True believer.
See you guys.
See you again.